Ms. Spencer, you're suing the defendant, your sister, for defaming your mother's name by now claiming Mr. Smith is her father.
That's right, Your Honor.
You say today's paternity results will prove he is not. Ms. Garner, you believe Mr. Smith is your biological father, even though he came into your life only years ago and never knew your mother was pregnant or that he could be your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Spencer, how has she defamed your mother? Explain that.
I believe that my sister is defaming my mother's name by making accusations that Mr. Smith is her father. All of our life, we have believed that this man right here, Lucius Kirkland, is the man that is Carmen's father. This is the man that my mother has said to be her father, and this is the man that I believe is her father. And I believe that today, with this DNA test, once it comes back, she will know that this is her father. My mother was a very strong-willed woman that spoke her mind, and I do not believe, Your Honor, that my mother would have left this earth without letting Carmen know who she belonged to. And by making these accusations, she's defaming who.
Well, I never made the accusations. I heard about him when I was in the 7th grade.
What did you hear in the 7th grade,
I was going to school. I was in the 7th grade, and there was a lady that came up to me, and she said, "I am your aunt," which would be his baby sister. So my mother was still living at that time. And I went home and I asked my mother about the accusations. And she told me these people was making it up. It wasn't true.
And in the whole, Your Honor, and may I interject to say, if she heard about that in the 7th grade, that would have made you how old, Carmen?
About 12 or 13.
And when did he come to you?
When I was 37 years old.
That means he thought about it when she was 12 or 13 too, Your Honor. That's when he should have stood up.
So, Ms. Garner, your mother told you when you approached her and said someone had said this to you, she said they're lying.
She said they're lying, they made it up. So
and you left it alone from there?
I left it alone from there. My mother died when I was 17 years old.
Okay.
She was 39 years old. She died from lupus. I had did an article in the newspaper when I was 37 years old. It was about being homeless and on drugs, with a drug addiction. I had went to Lucius Kirkland's house to wash clothes. When I got back to the shelter, they said a man called and said he seen that article in that newspaper about you being homeless and on drugs, and he had called, Mr. Smith had called the shelter and told them that he was my father.
Really?
Yeah.
And so, Mr. Smith, you remember making that phone call?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Tell me what happened.
Well, after I was in the paper, in the Canton paper, I got a call from my oldest daughter that Carmen is your, is your daughter. I started reading the paper, and then what happened was, then I started to try to communicate with her, with Carmen. This is 20 years later.
She saw the article.
Yes.
And called you.
Yes, ma'am.
And said, this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you believe? Why did she believe that?
Because there have been rumors that I was her father.
Did you hear those rumors through the years?
Yes, but her mom never said anything to me about it. She never even mentioned it. I'm not here to defame anybody, and I'm not here to deny my responsibilities.
Your Honor, I just want to speak on behalf of my mother, who is not here. Now, I can understand that he say he heard, and he lived in a town called Alliance, and we live in a town called Canton. And Carmen's biological father, Lucius Kirkland, lives in a town called Maslin. With all those towns together, it is about 30 miles long. Everybody knows Andy, everybody knows Barney, and everybody's Aunt M is Aunt M. So if you heard this once before, why didn't you stand up then? Why would it take your grown daughter to come and tell you that that woman right there is your child based on an article in the paper? And even after that article ran, he still was a sit-down father. He hasn't stood up yet, but today he comes to stand, and today I come to prove the point that this man is her father.
So, Mr. Smith, Ms. Spencer makes a point. If you'd heard those rumors over the years, but her mother had never said anything to you, you do remember her mother, am I correct?
correct.
You remember having a sexual relationship with her?
Yes.
You were never told she was pregnant. You never even knew this.
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Now let's go back into this conversation. Because Carmen said when she was in the 7th grade, his younger sister said, "You are my niece." That means for another 7-year-old, a 7th grader, or maybe 9th grader, to approach a 7th grader to say, "You are my niece." That conversation was somewhere in y'all household. He lived in a
Well, I will say this, right or wrong, and you probably won't accept it because you've got your mind made up. But I've sat in this seat for a long time and helped a lot of families. It is not unusual. He says he didn't know. If he did know, it's not unusual, and we see very often, Jerome can attest to this, men in Mr. Smith's position that stay on the outskirts, even when they hear these rumors. Back in the day, I'm sure if she was in a relationship, like you said, or they had a family and Lucius was deemed to be her father, many people during those times would say, you leave well enough alone unless somebody comes say something to you.
I never ever heard nothing about a Mr. Smith until Mr. Smith popped up and said that he may be.
After the article.
After the article had ran.
But I heard before that.
And
So,
I
Mr.
heard.
Smith, when you were with Ms. Garner's mother and Ms. Spencer's mother, did you remember her also being in a relationship with someone else? Lucius, anybody? Do you remember that?
Well, we dated for about a year.
Okay.
But at that particular time, Your Honor, I did not.
Okay.
If he dealt with her for a whole year, he had to have known something. You know, you don't just get a woman pregnant and then you don't see her no more. After a year, there's feelings. After a year, you call her every now and then. After a year, you see her every now and then. My mother hung out.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
They had to have some type of relationship. Babies don't fall out the sky.
They definitely don't fall out the sky. But this accusation right here, it fell from somewhere. It came up out of somewhere.
And that's why we're here today.
And
because it came up out of
then let's
somewhere.
open up this
and I
envelope.
want you to be
Let's get
okay. I want the rest of my sisters to be okay. What it does for me, if we're somewhere, because he has other children, 20 years ago, they embraced me. They say, this is our sister.
They did.
Yes, they
20 years ago.
Yes, but it's never been proven through DNA. So if we're somewhere, like maybe at an event, at a store, and they walk up and I say, well, this is my sister, Kathy. Kathy, this is my sister. And she'll walk away and might say, them ain't none of your sisters. You're crazy.
Your Honor, I never ever remember saying that none of them was her sister. At the end of the day and the beginning of the day, I'm worried about these accusations and the defaming of my mother's name.
I'm here because this is our mother.
That's correct.
And at the end of the day, all of y'all are my sisters. And I'm only here because there are other siblings involved. And I need to know, for me, you know, because a lot of time you'll look at me and say, well, what difference is it going to change? What is it going to change? It's going to change who my brothers and sisters are, or it's going to change who they are not. And that's why I'm here today. And that's why it's important to me.
So-
because y'all seem to always have a question of, why is it so important?
Because we've always had the same question,
It's
Carmen,
still important to me.
That you're always looking for love in all the wrong places. And once again...
I wasn't looking for no love.
And once again, here you are looking for
But I
some
wasn't
love.
looking for love, Kathy. I did an article on homelessness and drug addiction,
Ms.
which
Garner,
says need help.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe your mother cheated on the man that you knew to be your biological father?
I believe my mother was 20 years old, and if I can remember doing things when I was 20 years old, it could be very much so possible. For me to stand here and say, no, it never happened, and I know it didn't happen. Kathy was 8 years old when Mom died. I was 17, I'm the oldest.
Okay.
She has all these stories, and she sits down and she acts like Mother sat around like at a fire camp and told them all their business. She
Okay.
didn't do that.
Okay. So, Ms. Garner, you submitted pictures to the court. This is a split screen of you as a child and Lucius, Mr. Kirkland.
That's her dad, Your Honor. Look at those resemblance. Look at that nose. Look at that mouth. That is the man who I believe when my mother made those accusations, Lucius went to jail whenever he did not pay. And this is only what they've told me. My mother did not play. She would have never sent a man to jail. If there was going to be a man go to jail, it would have been him for not paying child support. She wouldn't have did that to him knowing in her heart that Carmen did not belong to him.
But what if she didn't know in her heart? Because I believe when I was younger, you know, that was okay. But as I've gotten older, I can go places. They say, oh, you look just like Mr. Smith. We know who your dad is. This has nothing to do with me. I don't run around saying, Mr. Smith is my dad. People walk up to me and say,
this comes to you is what you're saying.
yes.
That even when you're not looking for that level of validation
say, I know
or information.
who your father is. You're Bubba Smith's daughter. I say, well, that's what they say. It hasn't been proven.
So,
no.
Ms. Spencer, let me ask you, why do you think, when you said earlier she's looking for love in all the wrong places, why do you feel like she is nurturing this relationship? Do you think she truly believes that this is her father?
I believe this is what she wants to believe. I believe that in life, you have a person, such as Carmen's father, who passed away, opposed to say that she's Alex's child, to say, I can follow behind him.
First of all, I don't need a father to follow behind. I have my own life to follow behind. And one thing for certain, and two for sure, if he turns out to be my father, I've had two great stepfathers. So I ain't looking for no dad, because I've been truly blessed in the father department.
Then
so I don't need to run around claiming no father.
Okay, if that's the case, then what are you looking for?
I'm looking for truth.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for.
Then let's
today, I'm gonna get it.
Today.
That's what I'm looking for, and today, I'm gonna get it.
And
because
today,
Ms. Spencer, you do understand. If you are just living your life and people keep walking up to you talking about, you look just like this person, you look like that person, you look like, and you remember as early as 7th grade someone telling you this and you addressed it with your mother, you were told they were lies, but the seed had been planted. You know, there's a saying, you can't unring a bell. So when that happened, the bell was rung. And then these subsequent interactions, moments, only reinforce what she had heard as a child. And so her desire to have just the truth and to know once and for all, I think is very credible.
See, it started with an article about homelessness and drug addiction. Who claims that? Who just says, that's me and that's mine and I want to help it? That don't say Carmen hit $1 million lottery.
Okay.
That says need help.
Okay, so Your Honor, who claims that? Answer that question for me. Because if I had a child that I didn't know that was my child, and the article ran, and they said that they were needing help for whatever they needed help with, please answer me, what kind of help did he give her?
Mrs. Smith, did you help her?
Your Honor.
You called her, we know that.
Your Honor, I called her. Not only that, let me set the record straight here, please. I am 78 years old. I have 14 children. I took care of all of my children, 14 of them, and I'm not a deadbeat dad. I'm just slow and I take it easy and I don't say much. But when I found out this was my child, supposedly, that's why we're here today, I took her under my wings, and all of my children, they love her, and they know that.
Okay.
So I'm not here as a deadbeat dad. I'm here to set the record straight, Your Honor.
Your Honor, let's just get it over with.
With that said, are we ready for the results? Because I have them for you.
Yes,
we ready?
are.
All right. If you'd like to take a seat, anyone, I know this has been very emotional for everyone. If you'd like to take a seat, sir, ma'am, anybody, you're more than welcome. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Spencer versus Garner Smith, when it comes to 57-year-old Carmen Garner, it has been determined by this court Mr. Smith, you are her father.
Glory.
Thank God.
Judge, could I please say one more thing?
What would you like to say, sir?
I watch your show all the time. This is the gospel. I was watching your show, and the young lady called me, and I said, you know, I don't do that other stuff. I said, I'm watching Judge Lake. She said, oh, that's where you going. I said, well, let's go, you know, but before that, I wasn't going to go on no show. But God bless you, and I really love you.
Well, thank you. Mrs. Mueller, you say that after an extremely painful childhood, filled with much heartbreak and pain, you turned your life around, joined the military, and got married. But the one thing you still need to know is who is your dad. You've dragged the defendant to court to prove he is your biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Robinson, you claim that you've always known you are not Ms. Mueller's biological father and feel badly that you pretended to be just to stop her from being heard. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Mueller, what emotions are you feeling today standing here in court?
I'm hurt. I'm angry. I'm annoyed. Your Honor, when I grew up, I had a rough childhood. I didn't really know either one of my parents very well. I basically raised myself, being raised by myself and the people that I was in foster care with. So I was a little troubled child, but as I grew older, I told myself I didn't want to be like that. So I graduated from high school with an honors diploma. I joined the Army. I went and served my country overseas. I came back. I'm in school now, on the dean's list, getting my bachelor's degree. I'll be done in a year. I'm married to a man who loves me and supports me fully. And I feel like I'm proud of myself.
And thank you for your service. But I still see the pain.
I'm so hurt. I just feel like nobody cares, or like, Your Honor, when I was getting deployed to Iraq, I wanted my family there. I took the time out to call Mr. Robinson, asked him to be there for me. You know, I'm getting ready to deploy. Can you come up to the unit? His answer was, I'm busy. And he lived in the same city, 10 minutes away.
And so you have not had the support
Never.
of the man you believe is your biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes, Your Honor.
talk to the court about your doubts, because this is a beautiful young woman here.
Yes, Your Honor. I've always been there for Miss Muller, even from the day she was born up to this present day. Even with my doubts that she was not my daughter, I was there for her.
In what ways were you there for her?
I was
Because
there-
when I look at her, she wants that answer.
I was always there. I always come visit her. I tried to take her places, do things with her from the birth to this present day.
So, Ms. Mueller, as you hear that testimony, you don't feel like he was there for you?
No, Your Honor. Even at a point, I was in Oregon at one point, and I was in this abusive relationship. And the last person I wanted to call was Mr. Robinson, but I had no other choice. I called him and told him my situation. I told him, if you could just give me some money, or give me, I don't even think I asked for money. I asked if I could come stay with him because I needed somewhere to go. He told me he didn't have any money, and I believe he told me I couldn't
she's
stay
just
with
lying.
him. I am.
So, Mr. Robinson, I want to ask you this. You say you have doubt.
Yes,
But you also say you've always been there for her.
I've been there because I've always been a stand-up man. I was raised to believe that if you were a father, you take care of your kids. That was the way I was raised.
Okay.
And that's what I did.
And do you understand that she believes you're her biological father?
Not by the way they treated me, no. No, Your Honor.
Honor.
Okay. So, talk to me about this doubt and where it stems from. Take me back to this relationship with her mother.
Yes, Your Honor, when Miss Muller was born, I was there, like I said, every day.
You were in a relationship with her mother?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
And
Married?
not married.
All right.
I did everything a father should have done.
And so, wait a minute. You're in a relationship with her mother gets pregnant, and you do everything a father should do, but you don't believe you are this child's biological father.
Yeah, I was going.
I need you to explain to me how that happens.
With the way she made me feel when Miss Muller was born.
Feelings ain't got nothing to do with the DNA. I want to understand, why do you have doubt? Were you having sex with her mother during the window of conception?
Yes, I was, but
Okay, now, do you have any notion, idea, belief, or proof that her mother was also having sex with anyone else?
well, she had a lot of men friends. When I come around, they always walk away, y'all. It gave me doubts because they walk away.
Did you ever question her and say, hey, are you cheating on me? Are you having any other relationships?
I did, Your Honor.
And what was the answer?
She always say, no, those are my friends.
Those are just her friends.
Yes. I come home one day and this guy sitting in my house, relaxed and everything. And I'm like, how did you get here? He must have crawled under the house.
Crawled under the house.
Thank you.
Mr. Robinson, step out in the aisle, please. Step out in the aisle. And just show me, walk towards me. You walking in the house, and where is the man?
Sitting over on the couch.
Did he have dirt on his clothes from crawling under the
He
house?
relaxed.
Come on now. And then walk over to Jerome like he's the man. He's sitting on the couch, and you walk over and say what?
I said, how you doing?
And what'd he say?
He spoke.
And then what happened?
Did
You ask him, why are you in my house?
I kind of knew why he was there.
Were you all married at this time?
He was one of the guys that I'm talking about. He was dating my sister.
Oh, so why are you worried about if he was sleeping with your woman if he was sleeping with your sister?
That's the way they do it in my town.
Honey, you dropped the mic on that one. Oh, okay, Jerome, remind me not to move to that town. Right, I'd like to hear from Mom, because I would like to get the other side of this story. Please stand, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
State your name for the court.
Miriam Cobbs.
Ms. Cobbs, you are Ms. Mueller's mother.
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
Yes,
so
Your
Mr.
Honor.
Robinson has asserted in court today, Ms. Cobbs, that you had a lot of men friends during your relationship. And when he'd come home suddenly, they'd be time for them to go.
He's a bald-faced lie. If you come up in your house and see another man up in there, and you gonna be that calm? When I'm committed, I'm committed. I don't do no outside dipping and dapping. For him talking about being a father to her, no, he haven't.
I want to get down to the bottom line.
Please, let's get there.
Mr. Robinson has doubt. I want to know why he has that doubt. Now, the first thing he asserted in court is that you were entertaining other men.
No, sir.
You say that is not correct.
No, Your Honor, that's not.
So this is just something he made up.
Yes, ma'am.
When you got pregnant with Ms. Mueller, in your mind, you were certain, positive that Mr. Robinson was Ms. Mueller's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did he participate in your pregnancy and in the birth?
Yes, he did, Your Honor. That's when I was pregnant with her.
This
That's why
is
he. Yes.
This is a picture of
when I
you
was
guys
pregnant for, yes, ma'am.
when
I
you
was
were
pregnant with Tamika.
At that time, it looks like you were embracing your child
Oh,
that's
thank
going to
you.
be born, Mr. Robinson.
Probably the
I was
only
trying to do
time.
I was trying to do the right thing, Your Honor.
You were at the hospital when Ms. Mueller was born, Mr. Robinson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you on the birth certificate. I'd like to see it. Jerome, hand me that evidence, please. Child's name, Thermika Mueller.
Who he named.
After him.
I was
If you
just
have
about
so
to
much
say,
doubt, like, why would
father's
you...
name
sense
Thurman
in so
Robertson.
Yes,
I
Your Honor.
don't think anybody's giving their child the name
Okay,
Thermika
ma'am. Come on, ma'am.
unless their
Exactly.
father's name is Thurman.
Exactly.
Yes, Your Honor.
See a lie and go.
Why did you sign the birth
I
certificate
was-
if you were unsure?
I was trying to do the right thing, Your Honor. I was in love with her. And I would have, if she'd have told me to take off my shoes and walk to New York
Took
bare
off.
feet, I would have done it. Because I was that much in love with her.
And so, in your mind, you wanted this relationship to continue.
Yes, ma'am.
Even though
Yes,
you
ma'am.
had doubts, you didn't voice them because the truth is you didn't want to lose Miss Cobb. Did
Yes,
you
Your
ever
Honor.
say, I have doubts?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's a lie, Your
What
Honor.
did you say to her?
I think she was messing around.
Now you say I was. Now you thinking? Which one is I was? I wasn't.
You know the truth.
No, you know the truth.
So, Ms. Mueller, Mr. Robinson says he came to visit you. Said he was doing the right thing. Do you have any memories of him
Your
coming to
Honor,
visit
I
you?
have no
you.
recollection of Mr. Robinson until I was in foster care and I was at school and the principal came to my classroom and she told me it was someone here that wanted to meet me. She brought me down to the office and I remember seeing Mr. Robinson standing there and they told me that was my father and he was coming to take me home with him. That's when I went to go live with him, when I was about 9. And he took me to go stay with him, and I was excited at first, Your Honor. You know, I was thinking, you know, there's a family. I can go be with some family. When I got there, I felt like I didn't belong. They treated me like I was an outsider. I didn't get along with anyone. I had constantly, every day, my stepmom would tell me that he wasn't my father.
What?
She would tell me that another man was my father. Yes. She did.
And so wait a minute, why go get the child if you're gonna bring her home just to have her be verbally abused?
Your Honor, it wasn't that way. I went to get her, to take care of her, to get her out of foster care. If it was my child, I want to do the right thing.
All right, that's commendable. And you are her legal father because your name is on the birth certificate.
Okay.
So whether or not you are her biological father, you are the legal father under the law. Were you paying child support all the time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, so you're paying child support for this baby?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and now you also are on the birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you go get her, you bring her to your home.
Yes, Your Honor. And my wife treated her as she was one of the other kids. She never mistreated
You didn't even treat me like I was one of your kids.
Miss Mueller, were you treated differently?
Yes, Your
No, Your
Honor.
Honor, she lying.
Yes,
What
Your Honor,
happened?
I can remember birthdays. Birthdays. My sister, or a family member, she had like a bed full of toys and everything. When it came around to my birthday, his excuse was, I ain't got no money.
Your Honor, she's lying.
I can't do this.
She's lying, Your
Even
Honor.
my stepsister, everything, he treated them like they were royalty.
Did he ever say anything to you about whether or not he was your biological father?
I had a conversation with him, and I asked him, do you think you're my father? And he told me no.
And how old were you when he told you that?
About 25, 26.
Okay. So you were honest when she got older?
Yes.
That I don't think you're my biological child, but just in case you were,
yes,
I had to go get you.
Yes, Your Honor.
You brought a witness. I'd like to hear from him. Please stand, sir. State your name for the court.
LaMarcus Robinson.
Mr. Robinson, you obviously are Mr. Thurman Robinson's son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe Ms. Mueller is your sister?
There's doubt.
There is doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell the court why you feel that way.
Well, let me start off with saying this. My father is a great father.
To you.
To everyone.
To you.
He did everything that he could possibly to make sure that we were taken care of. He had a stepdaughter. He took care of her. He took care of Mrs. Mueller.
His own daughter.
Took care of all of us. We had counseling before she moved in. They sat us down and told us, hey, you potentially have a sister who's gonna come in and move in with us. I want you guys to treat her like you would treat everyone else. Love her and accept her. They told us this before she even moved in. And so we were prepping for her to get here. We were excited. And then when we got there, that excitement kind of went out the window because of some of the behaviors that Mrs. Mueller was displaying. She was very disrespectful to my mother. Anything my mother tried to engage with her, she would push back. She didn't want anything to do with her.
Did your father ever tell you whether or not he believed he was Ms. Mueller's biological father?
He never told me that personally, but you heard rumors, you heard buzzing around the neighborhood, you heard people say, hey, that might not be your sister. And as a child, when you hear that many times, you start to believe it.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. Ms. Mueller, before we go to results, I want you to state to the court why these results are so important to you today.
I want to have a relationship with him. I'm getting ready to have a renewal ceremony with my husband. Once we hit the 5-year mark, I want my father to be there with me. I want a relationship. I want to know what traits I get from you. Why am I like I am? Where do I get my stubbornness from? Is it you? Well, that's what I want to know.
You are an amazing, strong, beautiful young woman.
Proud of my baby.
And the fact that you have come this far and can stand in this courtroom with the courage to speak your heart, speak your mind, and relive some very painful moments, I think it's remarkable. And I think it's important before we go to results that you take a moment to talk to them about why this means so much to you and what happened to you.
I feel like I needed you. I feel like I had to learn the hard way how a man is supposed to treat me. I might have been a tough child, but I didn't need you to throw me away. You put me back in foster care.
You chose to go back to foster.
No, I chose to go live with my mom.
Right.
You chose to put me in foster care rather than letting me go live with her.
I did not.
Do you know what happened to me in foster care? I needed you.
Listen, this is one of the reasons why this courtroom is so important. We're now 29, almost 30 years later, and this child still doesn't know if this is in fact her biological father. But I got the truth in this envelope. You want it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Jerome, I'm ready. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Mueller versus Robinson, when it comes to 29-year-old Thermika Mueller, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Robinson, you are her father.
What? Bam! Bam! That's what I'm talking about.
You are the father, sir.
I'm seeing trying to discredit me.
I always tried to be there for her.
I love you.
You don't act like you.
I'll be there for her if she want me in her life.
You just heard her testify that she wants you to walk her down the aisle.
Your Honor, I should never mention that.
Okay, stop, Mr. Robinson, stop. This is how you move forward. You move forward by not moving back.
Right.
And so now, Miss Mueller, I want you to give your father this opportunity. And Mr. Robinson, I want you to take it.
I will, Your
And
Honor.
take it seriously.
Yes,
and Miss Mueller, I want you to remember, you said something in your testimony that rocked me to the core when you said, but you didn't have to throw me away. You are not trash. Do you understand me?
Yes, Your Honor.
You are a worthy, beautiful young lady.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Don't you ever forget that.